I believe we're actually moving on from the case studies now into a wrap up with the accountability section.
Yes, that's me. Back again. All right, folks. So I hope you had a little bit of fun there and had a little chuckle, maybe learned a little bit. We're going to go on to now tips for success. And we're going to start off with making sure that you have a team. This is a team effort. It really is, because as we've pointed out, there's just so many different data elements, and maybe you're the mastermind behind all of it, but you should have some kind of support. Someone else should be helping you validate who are your subject matter experts, who at your district knows how many grads you should have, how many dropouts you should have. Is that your principal? Is that your registrars, your counselors? Who knows how many UCCSU people or students are expected for this year, right? Learn who those people are and tell them that they're part of your dream team. Let them know that you're going to send them reports, that you're expecting them to help you validate data. I don't know if maybe that's every Friday you send them an update based on the data that you're changing in CalPads. You set up how you're going to do the validation, but it's important that you identify who those subject matter experts are, and that they know that they're also part of the team, right? The second point here is it's important that you have a timeline. And we're not just talking about the cohort timeline, right? It's not just make sure that you have the data updated by August 27th, which it's important, but also think about your internal timelines. It's summer, people go on vacation. Who's going to be available to help you validate the data, and maybe coordinate with them because they have to give you an answer before they leave, right? And not just the vacation part, but also think about the timelines when it comes to what is the process that you have to do locally to graduate students? What's the process look like in your SIS to update the UCCSU, to update the biliteracy, right? Who is entering your work-based learning data? Who's identifying the students that are CTE completers? And when is that being done? Because you need to make sure that that gets done in a timely manner so that you're able to then extract that data and make sure that your cohort reports are reflecting it correctly, right? So timeline is very important, and identifying when things are being done and by whom, because maybe you're not the person that does those processes, right? Maybe you have to rely on someone else. So think about those things. The third item here is share what you have learned. Communicate. Communication is key. Not only is it important for you to tell people about what deadlines are coming up and what reports they're going to be validating, but thinking about the future, share with people what the new functionalities are. Maybe there's someone at your site who can take on the future cohort years and be validating that data, and you're focusing on this current year, right? I mean, there's so many different ways that you can use these new functionalities, and maybe your subject matter experts will be super excited about looking ahead at the students that have completed CCI measures, for example. So just different things that you should be communicating with them. And also let them know if they weren't able to come to our trainings, this is going to be recorded, it's going to be on YouTube, the PowerPoint is available on our CSIS website, and have them look at all the information that is available for them there. And then lastly, but I think is super important, is debrief. I would suggest that you schedule a meeting today that is, sometime after this cohort deadline is over, so that you have some time already carved out so that you can talk to your team about what worked and what didn't work, right? What can you change about your process that is going to help you in future years? Or maybe there was no process and you need to develop that process within your local district, right? there's always room for improvement. And if you have all the key players in one room and you discuss about, what happens, it'll make it so much easier. And if you don't carve out a time now, by the time that end of year, end of year and the cohort is over, you're already off to the races on some other submission or something else that's happened. So if you just carve out some time now, then you know that you have that set. And if you have nothing to talk about because you did awesome and you have everything set, then maybe that's just the time that you use for coffee and donuts. And that is also important, right? You can just pat yourself on the back and say how awesome you are. That's totally valid. But these are just some things that we suggest that you do and you set locally to help you have a smooth cohort submission. And so with that, we're coming to our summary, and we want to recap some of the objectives, some of the stuff that we're hoping that you take from this presentation. And first and foremost is processing window. I'm sure you're tired of it, but it is important that you are aware that the processing window is open. It is ongoing. It's going until August 27th. That's when our nightly process is going to happen. And you have until August 27th to make changes in CalPads that are going to be reflected on your cohort reports. Then we want you to, of course, analyze the reports, validate that your numbers are true and accurate so that you're not surprised. You're not taken by surprise once the data is public and you are sharing these reports and validating with your subject matter experts, right? Along with that, we want you to just remember that we have new filters on the report, especially the CTE filter, because the CTE completer is not a column on the 15.2. So please use the filter so that you can identify who your CTE completers are. And also the new functionality that's available. Again, think about how you can use the future year functionality to your benefit. And also remember that the reports are accessible now throughout the whole year. You don't have to wait until April any longer. These reports can be run, at any point throughout the academic year for future years and current. And lastly, please remember that this is a team effort. Share the knowledge with whomever needs to know about this, and make sure that you're thinking about how you're going to be running these processes locally and who's going to be running the processes so that you have all the data that you need by the time that you're doing your submissions. And as always, we have so many resources available for you. The resources are also available in your workbook in page 22. And like we said, this training is going to be on YouTube, and we have the handbooks, and the presentation is going to be in the CSIS website as well. So you'll always have that information available. And you can reach us by submitting a ticket. You can always do it via the service desk within CalPads, or you can send an email to CalPad support. You can give us a call, but really that phone number is there in case you don't have online access, because we're not always checking that. No, there's no one answering the phone. So really the best way that you can get a hold of us is through the service desk ticket or an email to CalPads. And with that, we are going to ask that you please do a survey. We really care that we make these presentations better for you, that you're coming out of these presentations with some sort of clarity as to what you're going to be doing, right? What we're asking of you. And if there's something that we can improve on for this presentation and for any future presentation, then we want to hear from it. If you have suggestions about what case studies we should use, we're all about it. So please take the time. I think Marshall put it on the chat box, maybe.
Yes, it's there.
Thank you. And with that, we come to the end of the presentation, but we are going to stick around if you have any questions or any questions that we haven't answered in the chat box. We're going to go through and answer those. But if you feel like you've gotten everything out of this, then thank you for coming, and we hope that you learned something.